Oof.
Shout out to the White Claws, man.
Sponsor.
Sponsor, right? Harley, we killed the first episode. We are back again. This is episode 2 of Believe in the Houston Texans, hosted by me, Ruben Calvillo. I am joined by my partner in crime, the man himself, Harley Dugan. You can find him on YouTube. Just type in the lead right there. I myself drop daily Houston Texans content. Just type in 713 Houston Sportcast in the search bar up there. Harley, we're veterans now with this team.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I thought the excitement would have died down by now, honestly.
Hmm.
But with free agency coming up, which Nick Caserio talked a lot about in yesterday's interview at the NFL Combine, and with the draft coming up, dude, it is now a very good time to be a Houston Texans fan.
Super fun. It's better than being a Rockets fan, I'll tell you that.
Better than being a bro. Rockets are absolutely horrible. We're not going to get into the Rockets.
No.
But when you are the Houston Texans, and from us, right, we are on the outside looking in, when you are approaching free agency, what to you is the biggest need for this team?
Yeah, we've harped on this before, but I mean, I've told you it's center, and
Mm-hmm.
then it goes down to the trenches, really. That's the biggest need. But specifically, I'll say number one is center.
Yes. I say like number one is center. Me, I have to agree with you as well. I think that this Houston Texans team has become like attractive to potential free agents, right? And yesterday, D'Amico Ryans, oh, I'm sorry, he spoke with them today, and he kind of said something about the QB position. The first thing they did was once again not mention Davis Mills' name. It's like Voldemort right now between Nick
Yeah.
Caserio and D'Amico about Davis Mills. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's gone so far. Even like the season tickets for next year, there's no picture of Davis Mills along with the rest of the guys. Which is concerning if he's supposed to be QB1 going into 2023, right? Like you don't have no other quarterbacks on the roster, so usually you put him on there because
You
you
know,
did last year, and you don't got no quarterbacks again on the roster besides him. So for the Texans fans, including us, that don't want Davis Mills anymore as the starting quarterback, I have no problem with him as a backup. But as the starting quarterback of your Houston Texans, I think that is very good news for us Texans fans that want a change at quarterback, that want a quarterback that can actually move down the field,
mm,
can check down to guys consistently, but not every single play, don't fold under the pressure,
mm,
and obviously doesn't give. And I'm not saying he did, but I'm talking about the great panel of Texans Twitter that give the excuses of Davis Mills' faults with the Houston Texans, and it gets tiresome hearing those excuses when I know if we had a different quarterback, and it's not really just, well, the offensive line is bad, wide receivers are bad, the whole team's bad. Yeah, that is true, but the whole team was bad 2 years ago as well. And
mm.
Davis Mills, the last 5 games, gave us hope, and was like, maybe there is something to this. You find out there isn't. Let's move on. Let's go get a quarterback. There's a lot of talk around some QBs, man.
So before we get into that, you're getting me hyped up a little bit, Harley, dude. We haven't talked in damn near 2 weeks, bro. I'm so glad that you're back. But I think this closes the door on Davis Mills. The fact that the GM and the head coach won't even mention your name, I
Mm-hmm.
think says something, right? And you kind of, you talked about what Davis Mills was inconsistent, not clutch in the fourth quarter. He had the most interceptions in the fourth quarter, he led the league with 15.
Yep.
I would have loved to have gone into this draft knowing that I don't have to take a quarterback at 2. That would have been the great scenario for the Houston Texans, right? Give me Will or Jalen. Jalen, after the recent stuff going on, that's very interesting. How do you feel about that?
I think if you're if you're a Texan fan, I hate to say that,
Jalen
but
at 12.
well, I would love that. I definitely would love that, but the I believe the worries of a potential trade up
Mm,
should be almost put to bed with the rumors of Jalen Carter. Well, the news, not rumors, but news of
mm,
Jalen Carter and everything that happened. Just because now, as a Texans fan, I don't like to say anything of that sort is good news because someone did pass away, someone did die. And I think that's something that no one's harped on, and that's what D'Amico
yeah.
even mentioned. Like, there's a whole family that's suffered because of this. And the forefront of this conversation is, well, Jalen Carter's draft stock. Well, let's actually be a human being and talk about these people. Like, let's give some shine to these people and respect them, okay? And then, but obviously, football podcast, Texans. As a fan, hey, this is his draft stock falling down is the good news, because and it's not anything he did, it's something personal. And for
Yeah.
Texans fans, the Colts that seemed to be the team that could jump all the way up to one, well, now you got to somehow guarantee the Chicago Bears that Will Anderson or Jalen Carter will be there at 4. And do
Yeah.
the Bears still want to take Jalen Carter at 4 with all this stuff going around him? That's completely up to them. We don't know the Bears organization, Ryan Poles and them. Or, so now that tells you, okay, well, now the Colts can't really do this. So at number 2, we might have the buffet of quarterbacks that we wanted at number 1. You might still get it.
And you just said buffet of quarterbacks. The Houston Texans today met with everyone.
They had to.
Bryce Young, who is not throwing, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, AR-15, and I have to say, Harley, the questions surrounding AR-15 are hyping me up, and I'll I'll be lying to you if I say there is not a mock draft that goes by where at least one of them I am taking AR-15 at 2. And then the Houston Texans talk to Will Levis. And you know how we feel about Will Levis. We don't think he deserves to be in the conversation at 2. But the Houston Texans do, which is fine by me. Do your due
Exactly.
diligence. Find out who is great. Remember, they said in the press conference, D'Amico said it himself, they want players committed to football.
Yes.
Get all these guys in here, understand them, and it makes me excited. How do you feel about the Houston Texans, speaking of all 4?
Like you said, it's due diligence. There's nothing more, nothing less. Okay. The Houston Texans have to do this. They have to talk to all the quarterbacks. They know they need a quarterback. And if you go all the way back to DJ Bieneme's report from the
Yep.
Texans, he said on there that league sources, rumors around the league have been saying that the Houston Texans seem inclined to take a quarterback at number 2. Who would that be? We don't know. Okay, yeah,
Not only that, but they were telling their potential coaching hires, we are
yes,
selecting a quarterback at 2.
exactly. And that's huge. Now fast forward to today, that report even holds itself even more strongly now.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have to talk to all these quarterbacks, whether or not we like Will Nevis. They got to talk to him. He's mocked up there as a top 10 quarterback. AR
He's been mocked
15.
to us at 2.
Exactly. I mean, AR-15 mocked as a top 10 quarterback. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. This is just you just, checking off the boxes. That's all it is. Okay, we interviewed all of them. Let's get them in a room. Let's see how they think. Let's see how they react to different situations, react to different questions, and hopefully no dumb questions this year from the combine, please. and but overall, the Houston Texans, again, just doing their work. Uh, we just got to hope they pick whoever they pick fits that scheme. Like D'Amico was saying, they need someone that can fit. They can do the scheme, and you pick the best quarterback available for you. And whoever they pick is who they believe can be the future quarterback for the Texans. So there's a lot of weight on pick number 2. Lots of weight,
Well, I mean, I think your franchise is on the line here, Harley.
obviously.
When you lose a franchise QB like Deshaun Watson, regardless how we feel about him. We've dropped the memes. We've said our piece
Yeah.
about D4. The question about him was it wasn't a matter of if he would win us a Super Bowl. It was a matter of when.
Yep.
This QB at 2, you will literally have to think, can I see the Houston Texans winning a Super Bowl with Bryce or CJ or Will or Anthony Richardson? And this is this is a pivotal part for the Houston Texans in their franchise, and it's going to determine whether we are going to be on the rise, which so far it looks like we are, right? Ownership has kind of changed the narrative about themselves. We love Cal Shiesty. We love Hannah
Yeah.
McNair. We
Mhm.
think Nick
Oh yeah.
Casario.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah. Uh, we
Yeah.
love we love
All right.
Nick Casario, the way he's acting now. He said in his press conference, it's been really fun to come into work. Do you think he has said that with Lovie Smith or David Culley?
Hell no. He never
He's
took them seriously.
It is fun to come to work. And then he said, us as an organization are going to do what our head coach said is swarm. I haven't heard that from Nick Casario, right? This has been so far Nick's team.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to do what our head coach said and swarm as an organization also. It looks like all signs are trending up, but like going back to reality, if you mess up pick 2, man,
Sorry. Sorry, Nick.
sorry.
Oh well. You tried. You mess up pick 2, that's a fire-worthy decision. And it's just how the cards are played sometimes, NFL's unfair. I mean,
Mhm.
if he does he could do all his scouting work and he thinks that whoever is the quarterback picks that person, it doesn't work out. And guess
Yeah.
what? You'll get fired.
Not only that, I just think that you have to hit on this, man. We've been dealing with so much BS that you really wouldn't have think happen. A QB having 23 civil lawsuit cases against them. Multiple players after you pay them quit on your team. It's like the Houston Texans need a win. And I feel like at number 2, it's just gonna determine whether Nick Casario at the end of the day was the right guy for this team. We got rid of Jack Easterby. We wanted to blame him for all of the stuff that went wrong with the Houston Texans, right? Ever since Jack Easterby has been fired, it's been a trend up.
Yeah.
So at 12, we've talked about, a QB. And one thing I also want to ask you is how do you feel about the idea of a veteran coming in? Because not only did D'Amico Ryans talk about
Yeah.
the draft, he talked about free agency also. Now, I dropped the video today where I mentioned 3. I mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo, I mentioned Jacoby Brissett, and then I mentioned Marcus Mariota. All 3 guys are a different, would be a different situation. With Jimmy G, any of those 4, if you draft them, would sit a year behind them. There's that
Yeah.
familiarity with D'Amico, familiarity with Bobby Slowick. With Jacoby Brissett, it's all right. If you beat Jacoby, then you deserve to start for this team.
Mhm.
And then with Marcus Mariota, this is a training camp battle. May the best QB win. If it's my
Yeah.
rookie, it is my rookie. But
Yeah.
how do you feel about a veteran QB being not only on the team, but potentially a week 1 starter?
Yeah, I have no problem with that. None
Mm.
at all. Especially if you're taking someone at number 2, which we've already said, seems like Texans are going to take one.
Who do you want
And
at
you
2?
take what's that?
Who do you want at 2?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Come on.
And I'll take Bryce Young if they take Bryce Young and then they go get a Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little confused, because Bryce Young and CJ Stroud seem to be the 2 quarterbacks that are pro ready. Obviously, there's gonna be a
Plug and
lot of
play.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of stuff forthcoming around the NFL that they got to transition to, with the speed of the game and everything. But maybe sitting behind Jimmy G for a few weeks. But see, Jimmy G wouldn't want to do that. Why would he want to come here just to be benched again? He's not going to want to do that. The only way Jimmy G comes here is if you're guaranteeing him that he's going to be a starter for 2 years
All right,
at the
question.
very least. What's up?
Question. What if Jimmy G is okay with that? Like, would you want that? Like, because to me, like I said, if Jimmy G is here, I am like I'm not touching these rookie QBs until
Yeah.
year 2.
Okay. I mean, if he's okay with that, if he's okay with just coming in here and, being a full year starter for a year or two, if he's okay with it, then hey, we don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
assuming this is a guy that seemed like he would be upset because of how the 49ers kind of messing with him. He took them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
These other guys, they haven't. I mean, I know they went to the NFC Championship game with a Brock Purdy, but they didn't do it. Jimmy G took them to that Super Bowl, regardless of his passing yards in the championship game. When he took them to the Super Bowl, he
Was
took
it
them to the Super
15?
Bowl. It was bad. It wasn't a bad display of quarterback. It
It
was
wasn't.
just
It was just masterful game planning by
yeah.
Shanahan.
It was like, Jimmy G, you're gonna hand off the ball a million times. Okay, coach, no problem.
And I think what's interesting is, yeah, bro, we could have been quarterback for the 49ers that day and done absolutely the same thing that Jimmy G did.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think what was interesting is D'Amico also mentioned it, Jimmy G. And he said, I
Yeah, he
remember
did.
back in 2019 where we were 0-9, and then we traded for Garoppolo and then won 5 straight. Now,
Yeah.
I see you also think new offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, first time calling plays. Before Jimmy G got hurt, the 49ers were a 7-3 football team.
Yep.
And his stat line was 2,200 and something yards, 16 touchdowns, less than 7 interceptions. Jimmy G don't turn over the ball.
Nope.
And I think about the possibility of that for the Houston Texans, right? Yes, Jimmy G kind of feels like a real possibility to me.
Yeah. I mean, so you have Jimmy G, and then you have your other two options that you mentioned, which is Mariota and Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Jimmy G could be an option for you. Again, if he doesn't want to do this kind of role again, then he should look elsewhere, and I don't blame him to. Jacoby Brissett and Mariota, they already know who they are. They're
Back
guys that are backup quarterbacks. They can be starting quarterbacks for your team, but they know it's not going to be for very long. They're there to be holding a clipboard, mentoring, doing their thing with, trying to help whatever quarterback that is trying to be groomed into being the starter. Jacoby Brissett's done that before. He has the New England ties with Nick Caserio. Brissett would not be a bad option for someone that would be legit competition. Not last year. I knew the Texans were going to create this competition last year, and that was signing Kyle Allen, who was not anybody he's not a legitimate backup quarterback to the level of a starter at some point. No, he was never that. Jacoby Brissett and Marcus Mariota both are guys that are legitimate quarterbacks that can start for your team if needed and be somewhat successful as a starter. Mariota's fun just because of the running and the bootleg action that you can create with him in the offense. That would be fun, and I actually would not mind him as my backup quarterback, and maybe use him in some scenarios where you have a small litany of plays just around Marcus Mariota. It's not a bad idea. The
And his
Falcons
stat
even did
line,
that. Mm-hmm.
13 games, 5-8 record,
Yeah.
2,219 yards, 15 tutties, 9 interceptions.
Eh,
Give me that.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. It's
Jacoby
okay. It's
Brissett,
mid.
11 games started,
Yeah.
4-7 record. Now, we were religiously watching the
Oh
Cleveland
yeah.
Browns because
Oh,
we
big
owned
time.
their first this year, which
Big
became the
time.
12th. It might be even better next year, right? Because D4
Yeah.
just showed that he just does not look good. But nonetheless, 4-7
Maybe, maybe not.
record, less than 6 interceptions. He has 6 in total, 12 tutties. I think what I mean, I'm just if each one of these QB like you just mentioned could start for this team. It's kind of like, all right, man. As soon as you mess up, here come the rookies.
Yeah, I mean, they know that though. They should know that. If they don't know that coming into
Then I don't
signing
want
with the
to.
Texans, exactly. You got to have that mindset. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. They know already in their career. That's what they are.
Case
Okay,
Keenum, you could throw his name in there.
yeah, I don't mind the case. I don't know if Keenan wants to leave, but yeah, he kind of likes. Where's he at? Buffalo, right?
Yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah, he kind of liked Buffalo. I don't know if he leaves, but regardless, I see what you're saying, and I'm down for it.
No, it's interesting that they mentioned free agency, they mentioned the draft, and it's also interesting that they don't mention Davis Mills' name. Shout out to Davis Mills, man.
Got
You
married.
know, to kind of close the case on him on the Believe Network here, he had every opportunity in front of him, and he had one job was to make me not select Bryce Young at number 2, and you failed.
Yep.
And the Houston Texans, I think, are showing kind of everyone really that it's done in a way where, like I said, he's not in any of the advertisements. He's
No.
not in any of the he's not mentioned by name by our GM and our head coach, right? Right. Not once has D'Amico said, we have Davis Mills on the roster, and I know he's done a couple good. That's what you would expect a head coach to say about a QB. But no, I know we have one on the roster, but we need to add more. I I think it shows sense of urgency in a way. Like we're not gonna accept mediocrity, which we've been the past 3 years now. Only 7 games combined win in the past 2 years.
Mm,
It is exciting for the Houston Texans, Harley. Now, this is just talking about pick 2. We have another first round pick,
yeah.
and that is pick 12. Now, I'm thinking wide receiver, unless someone like I'm getting very intrigued by Lucas Van Ness, the edge from Iowa,
Mm.
right? Didn't start, however, what is he, like 6'5", 6'6"?
It's like
Dude is an
six
absolute
six.
monster.
Yeah, he
And
has a body of a god.
I just feel like if you are drafting a Bryce CJ AR-15 Will, you got to give him a wide receiver.
Yeah, I believe that. You always want to pair your your future QB1 with a hopeful future wide receiver one.
The Bengals did it.
And yeah, and when you speak of the Bengals, I just did a reaction video to the Pro Football Network's mock draft that they just did a few days ago, where they included a lot of trades into their draft. And one of the trades was the Texans at 12 trading it away to the Bengals for
For
T.
T.
Higgins.
Higgins.
And it's not a bad idea. I'm not necessarily sold on it, but you can sit at my door and start selling me a few T. Higgins highlights and see how that looks in a Texans uniform, buddy. All we want in their offer was a 12th overall pick and the 4th round pick, and you give that to the Bengals for T. Higgins, and I believe it was like maybe they had a late 3rd round pick. I don't remember that one too well,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know that we get T. Higgins at 12. And it was rather interesting, very interesting to look at. And maybe that the Houston Texans, could do that, something similar to that. The free agency for wide receivers is not good. So when you look at number 12, you have that possibility out there. But the ones you did mention, the Houston Texans got to get themselves a receiver. And we all
And
know
his
that
stats,
Brandon.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
That's what I was looking. 900 yards his rookie year,
Mm-hmm.
1,000 his second year. He just had another 1,000-yard season. Me and you, right? It was him or Jonathan Taylor at the second pick, right? I
Oh,
mean, in
man.
the second round. That was our choice.
Yeah, we were
And
happy with those two.
ooh, I think with T. Higgins, is he worth the 12th? I do, right? The fact that you have
Mm-hmm.
to pay him kind of worries me. That's where I would
That is
say
true.
I have the 33 overall pick in the draft. Go ahead and T. Higgins is worth a high second at
Oh,
that.
big time. Big
And
time.
you look at what that would mean for the Houston Texans, because I would be all I you could sell me on T. Higgins,
Yeah.
a guy who really play. There's no kind of injury concerns that much.
No.
There is you see the productivity even with another wide receiver on the opposite side in Jamar Chase, and you score touchdowns 5+ in the past 2 years.
Yep.
I think with T. Higgins, it excites me, right? And if I am a Bryce Young, right, or a CJ, whoever you want to say, the wide receiving core of a T. Higgins, Nico, John Menchie coming back from
Oof.
cancer, who we haven't even talked about,
Oof.
the impact he could have. Well, sign me up, man, right? You got to spend money to make money at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, you have this luxury, this opportunity to spend that first round pick because Deshaun loves fingers in his butthole, right? You have this chance. If you are the Houston, if I'm Nick, I'm looking at T. Higgins and I'm like,
Yeah.
that is interesting. 2 6'4" wide receivers on the outside of Nico,
Mm-hmm.
and then T. Higgins, and then you got to worry about the slot demon, John Menchie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Also, right, if you're worried about losing a pick, we're trading Brandon Cooks, who is going
Exactly.
to get you a day 2 pick. Some
Should.
even said swap those two, Brandon Cooks for T. Higgins,
Oh man, I would do that in a
in
heartbeat.
a heartbeat.
I would do it in a heartbeat. Obviously. Oh man, I would
Which
do
one of
that
these
so
rookie
fast.
wide receivers do you like?
Yeah. So and that's what I was going to harp
Yeah.
on. Um, I'm a fan of Jackson Smith and Jigba.
But
I'm
at
a fan.
12,
See, and that's where I have a problem with looking at receiver. I just don't think there's a receiver that warrants number 12. I still believe you can trade down and you can still grab one of these receivers. And when I mean one of these receivers, I don't just mean the three: Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you move down there around the 20s, let's say 20, and someone
they
takes Quentin Johnston, and someone just a few picks before you takes Jordan Addison, there's no problem with the Houston Texans grabbing a Zay Flowers.
nope.
I have no problem with Zay Flowers whatsoever. And I just think his potential, I know he's a slot receiver. I get that. But man, the way his route running, his athleticism, man, his combine is going to be very fun to take a look at because the 3-cone shuttle, all of that good stuff that you see, the side to side movement from a wide receiver is really going to speak volumes for Zay Flowers in whether or not he can be a future number 1 wide receiver. I know he's small, I get it, but he is that athletic. He is that fast. He's that quick. It's quickness. That's what pops off the field for me is his quickness. He has a potential to be a wide receiver one, excuse me, given his size. So him, Nico, Jordan Mechie, John Mechie, not too bad right there. Hey, you got a pair of small receivers for your small quarterback. It's not too bad. You still got Nico Collins, who's a big wide receiver threat. We haven't even mentioned Chris Moore, who's came out of nowhere these last
Sign
2 years,
him.
and
I've signed
I
him.
don't have a problem with him at all. I like Chris Moore. I like to see more from him. Want to
And you
see what
still have
else can he
Amari
do?
Rogers.
Yeah, Amari Rogers is still on this team. Dorsett's probably a cut, but hey, who knows? And then you got a bunch of tight ends that you don't know what you're going to do with. That's something else maybe the Texans look at in the draft.
Another wide receiver, if I can throw out a couple more names, I am
Go ahead.
falling in love with Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee.
Oh, man.
And he
He,
has yet to run his 40.
yeah, I know.
That might shoot him to 33.
Yeah, if
And
not
I
higher.
think, yeah,
Bill, like I'm saying higher because he says it, not me. He says it. He can run a 4.29 40.
if he
And
runs
buddy,
that,
he runs that. Well, buddy, he's being catapulted to the first round.
Biletnikoff Award winner this year.
Yep.
Another Biletnikoff winner is Jordan Addison
Yeah.
from USC. Had a very respectable 700-yard season with Caleb Williams. Season before that, though, where he was the Biletnikoff winner, 100 catches, 1,598 yards, 10 plus touchdowns. I think Jordan Addison is worth the spot at 2, but in my area of need for the Houston Texans at wide receiver, I think we need a burner. I think
Hmm.
the Houston Texans have a possession guy in Nico Collins, and I'm
True.
sorry, I will say right now with Bryce Young, Nico Collins is 1,000-yard receiver. How many
Ooh.
times did Davis Mills oversell the fucking ball? And
Yeah,
he's
many times.
6'4".
Yeah. Yeah. Many,
With
many
better
times.
quarterback play, I think Nico Collins is someone special. There's a reason why Nick Casario traded up for him. And he had what, 600 yards this year?
Yeah, again.
200 yards his first year? Okay,
Mm,
cool. Year 3, show me what you have, but I'm going to give you a better quarterback.
yeah.
I think you need a burner and or someone who is explosive and makes plays like a Zay Flowers from Boston College. And I got to say, man, he's electric. We
Oh
haven't
yeah.
talked about Tank Dell,
No, that'll be way later in the draft, but he's not. Hey, UH product. I love me
UH
some Tank
product,
Dell.
3rd, 4th, 5th round.
I love Tank Dell.
I am excited for the amount of weapons that we could give our potential quarterback. And, that's just the first round that we've talked about, dude. The second round, it gets interesting. What do you do at pick 33, right? I think the Houston. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How do you prioritize this draft? Are you going offensive heavy or are you going defensive heavy? Do you expect D'Amico Ryans to have a impact on your defense enough to where you literally build around your quarterback?
Yeah, I'm always in the mindset of it's whether it's how the draft goes, it's how your draft board goes. So that's always going to be the first thing for me. And it's kind of that's kind of an escape door to your question. But so to answer the question, look, you went Bryce Young at number 2. You're possibly going wide receiver at number 12. Number 33, if John Michael Schmitz is there, and that's who I want, is that center. I want him very bad. If he's down there in the late 20s of the first round, like 25-ish, then I'll say F it. Go trade up for him. You got plenty of picks to do it. I love John Michael Schmitz. He just looks like a guy that's going to be a good football player. There's nothing else
Like
to
him
that.
over Luke Whippler from Ohio?
I don't mind Luke Whippler at all. I don't. But it just looks like John Michael Schmitz is going to be a good football player.
Mm.
Boom, done. Like I think he's just a good football player. Luke Whippler, yeah, I think he can be a good football player. I just don't think there's a guarantee with Luke Whippler. I love his potential. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a fantastic player in this league, maybe. But it seems like there's more of a guarantee for me on John Michael Schmitz and him being just a immediate plug and play center. You won't have no problem. Hell, he might tickle around the words of Pro Bowl his rookie year. I mean, he is a damn good center. Damn good. I will take him immediately at either 33 or I'll trade up and go get his ass. I have no problem doing it.
I have no problem investing into my quarterback, right? And if you do take Bryce Young, and everyone's gonna say he's 5'9", right? Apparently, he's not throwing at the combine. The only QB not to throw, I think that only benefits the Houston Texans, right? Of course, he's trying to get to 200 pounds. He's not going to be his best throwing the football. I think that kind of hinders his draft stock, and I fully expect AR-15 to put on a show.
Yeah.
His arm talent is insane. And when there's no defenses against you, you're gonna look great. Hey, what happened with Zach Wilson where he had that long bomb of a throw and was selected number 2 overall because of that?
Yeah.
I think Bryce Young not throwing is good for the Houston Texans. What about you?
Hmm. Um uh, that's tough for me. I like Bryce Young. My biggest worry on that is okay, we know you're trying to get to 200 pounds, and we're about to have a weigh in with him. And if he's not 200 pounds, Well, then, okay, that's okay. I already know how he throws because he played with not being 200 pounds. If he is 200 pounds, I need to see him throw.
Yeah.
I need to see how it affects his game. I need to see if there's any difference. I need to see if his athleticism is slowing down. I need to see, does he still have that same mobility? A lot of people don't realize how
20
much
pounds is a lot.
20 pounds, 10 pounds is a lot. I mean, people don't realize this. Okay. He was playing around what, 190 maybe, 186,
Wet.
190, something like that. Yeah. And so if he's 200, 202, let's say, and now he's not going to throw. I don't like that. I understand why he's doing it. He's a top prospect. He's the QB1. I get it. Okay, I do. I do. But I just don't like that you're trying to sell me that you're 200 pounds. Well, then go in full steam ahead on it and fully sell me. If you can still throw and still do your magic, Houdini, what they called him,
Steph
Alabama
Curry.
guys, very familiar, sadly. But if he is over 200 and he's not throwing, and I don't like it. It gets me upset because again, you're trying to sell me that you're over 200 pounds and you're not going to throw, man. I don't like that. Sell me all the way, man. Put me all in. Get me all in. You want the Houston Texans? There's no lock that we take him at number 2.
Are you kidding me?
There's no lock that we take him at
You
2.
don't like okay, there's no lock where you wouldn't take a guy who went back the only quarterback in Alabama history to go 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. You lose Jamison Williams in the first round. You lose John Minch to the Houston Texans. You get
Mm-hmm.
fucking Bill O'Brien as your offensive coordinator, and
Mm-hmm.
yet you still do this and are graded the highest quarterback in Alabama history according to PFF. As much as he is a lock, if he would have came out last year, he would have been the first QB off the board, right? Obviously, the Jaguars took Trayvon, but nonetheless, dude, he's a lock, man. Now, in terms of the Houston Texans, I would have been scared if he put on 200 pounds and he goes out there and starts slinging that mug, and you're like, wow. Now I actually have to worry about a team really trading up for me because as much as we've talked about a possibility of a team trading up and passing us to get Bryce, it would have been much worse if he puts on this 10, 15 plus pounds and then puts on an absolute show. We know, like you said, you know what he could do at 190. We
Mm-hmm.
know you went against the top defenses in college. You won the Heisman Trophy winner. You've been in quarterback camp since you were 10. Right now,
Sure.
I know what you're doing. Right now, you're trying to make weight. You're trying to show people that you're not fragile, that if you get hit by these NFL defensive linemen, your ass is gonna get up. I think this was a kind of strategic move. In my opinion, it's something that I would have done, but also you also want to see the guy who says, not only am I 200, but it doesn't affect me whatsoever. Watch me still throw the football.
That's what I would like. That's what I'm saying. Because I know what he can do at 190. Everything you told me was at 190. It was not at 200. And that is a massive difference for him. It is. And I need to see how he can throw at 200. If there's no change, then there's no change. But if there's no problem for him to be doing that at 200, then what's the problem with you throwing? What's the problem with it? If you this good, if you my lock at number 2, then what's the problem?
What if he weighs in on his pro day at 200,
Exactly at 200.
195?
If he's 195, then hey, I honestly, I already going into the expectations that we're getting a small quarterback.
Yeah,
So
I'm expecting Bryce Young to be a Houston Texan.
me too. If he comes in at 195, okay, well, I already know how he plays at 195. I know exactly how he plays. Roll the tape, roll it. It's amazing. Okay, it is amazing work.
Special.
I don't know what he can do at 200 though. And people are like, oh, it's only 5 pounds. No, 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 no. Man is going to be 5'10" and a half, nearly 200, 205 pounds. Okay, I saw that little belly he was walking in with. He had water weight on. That's water
Yo,
weight.
you saw how slow he was walking too?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah, he was doing that. He had that James Harden, let me leave Houston weight.
Hey, Harden's coming back, bro.
Apparently he is. There's a lot of
And
fire.
I'm ready to get hurt again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever happens with
But
them,
as we
I have
end
no clue.
this episode too, which was fire, by the way. Thank you for joining me, Harley. I am not really concerned, but I am looking forward to how the rest of this combine plays out, because there's always going to be some risers, some falls, and when you are the Houston Tech. Okay, also let me ask you a question: how do you feel about the Houston Texans only having Nick and D'Amico at the combine? Because if you heard Sports Radio 610, it was, this is the worst thing a team could ever do, and I don't know. I don't care. Nick has how many years of VP experience over there? And I'm sorry, didn't D'Amico turn Fred Warner, who was a third round pick, into one of the best linebackers in the NFL in terms of talent evaluation? There's no doubt that I want my head coach and my GM there.
Yeah, I asked this in the group chat, the very highly esteemed group chat that we're in,
Yeah.
and look, man, I already knew the answer to this question. I knew there was no problem whatsoever. Let's specifically say it. Okay, this is Clinton Ron Hughley and Clint. I'm not trying to throw any shade at Landry Locker, Lopez, Sean, or Seth. They do a fantastic job. When 2 o'clock comes on,
I turn it
buddy,
on.
I'm not gonna lie with you. I change that radio to the aux cord or music, or it goes all the way down to 3 as background noise. And it just happened to be background noise that day for me. And they are just going berserk as to why we don't have no positional coaches. The offensive coordinator's not there. Like, all we had was D'Amico and Nick Casario. And so I'm like, man, this is so normal. There's nothing wrong with this. Why are they overreacting? Maybe I'm crazy. So I
Hmm.
go ahead and post a question in the group chat. And immediately, shout out to Mr. Cole Thompson. If you don't follow him. Huge Texans media guy and whatnot. But immediately says, there's no problem with that. If anybody would know, he would be one of them. He's in that building. Okay. There's no problem. He's been doing this for quite some time. So I'm going to trust this him more than Clint Sterner and Ron Hughley, who calls himself the show. I'm not calling a grown man the show. What in the world? Like, nobody, ain't no grown man gonna do that. Don't call me the lead. Call me Harley. I'm not going. I'm the lead. No, I'm Harley. Okay, I am Harley Dugan. We are grown men. What are we doing here? Okay, come on. You're overreacting to this bullshit ass combine that, oh, there's only, we don't got no positional coaches. We're gonna have quarterbacks come in, and you're not gonna have a quarterback coach or a positional coach work with them or talk to them and really get into their minds. Pass it on, man. Pass on whatever bullshit you're trying to spew at me from 2 to 6. Pass it on to somewhere else. That, man, that is one of the worst things I've heard in a while. Okay, and it just seems like all the worst things I've heard in a while come from them hours of just hearing them. My goodness, it is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You're trying to hold it in. I'm not Mr. Nice Guy, okay? Look, if your shit's ass, if your shit stinks, I'm gonna tell you it stinks, bud. I'm not gonna be a yes man like the co-host Hughley over there. Just agree with everything Mr. Sterner says. Your shit stinks. I'm gonna tell you it stinks. And this is just their Texans. Imagine there are other takes on sports. Oh boy. Oh my goodness.
I am Ruben Calvillo. I do daily content for the Houston Texans. You could type in 713 Houston Sports in the search bar. I was joined by Harley. You could type the lead in on your search bar. You see him there. Hey, we're there, Harley. Thank you for joining episode 2. You guys, I'm sorry. You guys have a very blessed day.